Bonjour les amis, bienvenidos una vez más a nuestro canal de YouTube. Hoy tenemos el inmenso placer de recibir a una persona que nos es muy querida en la tienda, que llevamos muchos años trabajando con él y que tenemos la grandísima suerte de contar con todas sus fragancias, que bueno, ya iremos descubriendo un poquito sobre ellas, pero que son maravillosas y que seguro que os van a encantar. Tenemos el placer de encontrar a James Heeley de Heeley Parfums. Hi James,
Hi.
Welcome to the Secret du Marais. We love to have you here. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you here because, you know, for us, your brand is very special. We work with you from several years now and we still love your fragrances. So this is very grateful thing for us. So we would like to let our customers and our followers know more about you and more about your brand, your philosophy, and why did you decide to become a perfumer? And because at the beginning you were a designer, no? So how did you become a fragrance people or in the perfumery industry?
Well, actually, even going further back than that, I actually trained as a lawyer. So at university, I read philosophy, then law, and qualified as a barrister, an English barrister in the UK. And I really didn't. I knew I didn't want to practice, and I thought I'd take some time out. Went to France and basically never came back. And one of the reasons I left was simply because I couldn't possibly imagine knowing where I was going to, what I was going to be doing 1 year after the next, and the whole idea just frightened me. I knew I always wanted to do something creative, and it just by trial and error, by accident, I found that perfume and the world of perfume and making perfume, thinking about perfume, it just ticked a lot of boxes for me that I just didn't expect. So I then realized working in perfume or making perfume that I realized that I'd always had a very strong awareness of scent, as we all do. But even as a child, I remember going into department stores
Smelling everything,
and smelling things.
Very curious, no, about
I was just
all
very
this
curious.
stuff.
When I actually arrived in Paris, I didn't speak a word of French. And one of my first jobs, or one of my first activities, if you like, in discovering the creative world was actually graphic design. And I was taught graphic design by a graphic designer in a small advertising agency. We were actually working for the Ritz Hotel. Graphic design literally changed my life because I started to see things that that you take for granted.
It opened your mind a lot. Yes, because when you're a lawyer, it's more closed.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the law, and
maybe you missed this creative part of
people.
you, no? And then you discovered.
Yeah, it's just a way. At the end of the day, it was a lifestyle thing. But I had no idea I would become a perfumer. So this design world started, or my introduction to the design world was through graphic design, and it really changed my outlook. And things started to make more sense to me. I just saw things in a different way. Light, contrast. It was just fascinating. And I still do all the graphic design.
See, because we
like
will talk
catalog,
about later, but
web design.
All of your bottles have a different design, and it's very related with fragrance.
We started out in fragrance through design, so it was my
leitmotif.
Yeah, a series of coincidences. But at the time, I had a small workshop in an area in a traditional, let's say, working class area of Paris, which is Père Lachaise. Menilmontant, where you had a lot of artisans, a lot less.
Well, you have as well
a lot of ateliers.
The cemetery, no? As well.
The cemetery, and it's there I learned to. Again, there was a sculptor. Was other studios in the same street, and that's how I learned to bend, solder metal, like carve oak wood. Just really experimenting with different materials. At the time, I was doing my graphic design, which gave me a basic income.
How did you arrive from the design of seeing materials like this to the perfumery? Through the raw materials, maybe?
No, sorry, I was getting sidetracked. So I came I started doing these vases in zinc. They're called a canal vase. At a time when design was just taking off in Paris, there really wasn't much. There weren't really many shops dedicated to interior design. It was very traditional and a bit old-fashioned. A very famous florist in Paris called Christian Tortu, who did a lot of the floral designs for fashion shows and what have you. And he was working on a scent for his shop, for his brand. And that was my first introduction to scent. So actually, you often say that scent, yeah, but the scent like graphic design is very much, I see it very much as a crossroads of creativity, because it's practical and technical, and at the same time, it's relevant to a lot of different creative, to the creative world, because it's linked to art, to catalogs, to books, to literature. Graphic design is very much a crossroads. I think scent is almost very much a crossroads, because you have, it's linked to fashion, it's linked to interior design, it's linked to graphic design because it's very important for the packaging. It's also something that, in a way, liberates the senses. It's very imaginative. It helps you imagine. It helps you. It sets scenes.
Yes, for me, perfumery is like a form of art as well. I mean, it's another art, different, but no.
Yeah, I don't really question whether it's art or not. It just is. It's one of those things that are close to creativity generally. It's essential. Art is all about the senses, and one of them, one of the powerful. Then realised that there was a whole creative process behind making a scent. And the way I'd learnt how to graphic design, and I'd learnt about metal, and I thought I can do the same. I can learn about scents.
Raw materials as well.
Yeah. Well, it's basically, how do you make a scent? How does it work? How do you put it together? How do you put ingredients together? And the only way to actually learn about scents is to do it in a way.
It's our practice. That's it. Yeah.
Yes, and you have to. It's a language. It's technical. I know that there are perfume schools tend to select students today based on chemistry, and actually you don't really use chemistry making the scent. It's very much a question of how to put ingredients together. And then of course there's a technical side, which comes from the cost of raw materials, the availability of more raw materials, but more importantly, allergens and all the rules and regulations.
Yeah, that has changed from some formulas this last year. So, because of the changements in the laws as well. So because of the allergens and all these things that sometimes it's not easy for you as a creator, as a perfumer, to remove some.
Yes, or sometimes you actually have to, if you have to lose ingredients or percentages, and it changes the scent too much, sometimes the best option is just to let it go.
Yeah, and to start a new formula totally different.
Exactly. Yeah. Because there's just, and that's happened to me in the past. I have one scent now, which is vetiver, and vetiver has just recently been hit by the latest round of regulations, and this contains 90% of the formula is actually Haitian vetiver, so it's gone. And I can't, there's no way I can do it's 100% natural.
Well, we will keep it as a secret.
Yeah. So it's going to be a secret.
Just for collectors, just like
Exactly. Yeah.
Bueno, chicos, espero que os haya gustado la entrevista que le hemos hecho a James Heeley. Para nosotros ha sido un placer. Thank you for being here with us.
It's a pleasure.
It's always very, very nice from you to share all your secrets and your fragrances. Y bueno, si tenéis cualquier duda, ya sabéis que podéis preguntarnos a través de nuestros canales habituales, ya sea las redes sociales, por email o por teléfono. Si queréis probar las fragancias, por supuesto, no dudéis en venirlas a conocer a nuestra tienda o bien pedirlas online. Y esperamos que os haya gustado y a bientôt.